What's going on, everybody? We're live. Yep. Today's gonna be a doozy. This is what happens when you leave me to think about things like what we talked about last night. Shout out to everybody that showed up for the show last night. Foolish Finance Fridays, where we got women out here giving half of their portfolios up, where women are giving their money up to men to invest. If you missed last night's show, you missed the Foolish Finance Fridays. And so what I do on Fridays, I show you the foolishness that you all do out here with your finances. Whether it's a man or a woman, where it's a couple, or where it's a married couple or a single, whatever the case may be, a throuple, whatever. I'm showing you your foolishness. Then I come back on Saturday and I show you how you correct that foolishness. Yesterday, we witnessed a lady in the Foolish Finance Fridays, in one of the links, where she was giving her husband her paycheck to play in the stock market, to trade and play in the stock market. He lost $1 million of her money. Now the question, that always comes to mind when I hear things like that: why he ain't had no money? Where his where his dollars at? Where his dollars at? Where them dollars at? Right? Where his money at? Right? Then I asked the question, because I know some of you would do it. I asked the question, how many in the chat would give their man, their husband, $10,000 a month to go invest into some stocks and so forth, and he lose every month? And you stop and you say, babe, enough is enough. I'm $1 million in the hole. Enough is enough. When is enough enough? Have you vetted him? Have you seen some returns? What's going on? Why he need your money if he investing and he good at it? Why he need your money? I got questions. But I know some of you would do it. I know some of you will put out there and be like, I trust him. I love him. He is my earth. He is my king. I trust him with all my heart. He's going to lead me to the promised land. But yet and still, you the one losing 1 million. And this is the comeback people gonna say. It's not her losing 1 million, it's them losing 1 million. No. When it's them losing 1 million, it's 500, 500, it's 700, 300, it's 800, 200. Not her whole million. And she got a divorce from him after $1 million. And she had to work back to get that million back. He is my king, he is my earth. I do not want for nothing for him. I only need air to breathe, and he supplies it. I don't need no food. I could just live off of water. I feed him. I nourish his body. I give him the world. He doesn't have to give me anything but life, the breath, the air. I love him. So what some of y'all say? But let me tell you what the tax people say. Let me tell you what the bill collectors say. Run me my ducats. Give us free. Give us our money. That's what they say. Mimi Roberts, what's going on? Casual Economist, what's going on? D, what's going on? Make sure y'all hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. We out here saving kings today. Today we're gonna save the kings. Today. We're saving kings today. All right. All right. So me perusing, cruising the internet as I normally do. Um and listening to folks talk, different chatter, blah 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 blah. Jimmy Nelson, what's going on? Um, and I have these. I have questions. And my questions are always centered around, you know, what I call foolishness. This gonna be a doozy this morning. I'm gonna talk about everybody this morning. Black women, black men, your mama, your daddy, everybody. Ain't nobody is safe today. Your children, they're not safe. Everybody. I'm talking about everybody today. Everybody. So if you feel like you're gonna be offended, if you feel like this ain't don't gonna be the show for you, we're gonna talk about finances. We're gonna talk about all of that. But I'm gonna talk about it in a different perspective. I'm getting my perspective. You all can have your own perspective. You know what? I may even feel adventurous and drop the link and let you come up and debate me. It's okay. I'll debate you. Let's start with my first topic. My first topic. Okay, my first topic, and I get tired of hearing this. Is I hear all the time in the blogs, throughout YouTube, throughout walking around, going to different places, this, that, another. Everybody is like, women sing these songs that have anthems to them. For example, you'll say Destiny's Child Soldier. If his status ain't hood, or you'll talk about some song Sierra wrote, or you'll talk about what I wrote. You'll talk about some song Sierra sings. You'll talk about whatever song, whatever, whatever. And I hear this all the time. And I hear it all the time. What I never hear is, in which I bring this up, which I have a question about. Men chime in, please. Women chime in, please. I want to know your opinion, what your thought process is. I'm gonna give you my thought process, and then you give me your thought process. My thought process is this. Let's check and see who wrote the songs. So, Soldier. I went and looked it up. Put it up on the screen, D. Soldier. Written by a man. And this man, these two men are Sean Garrett and Rich Harrison. I know who Sean Garrett is. I don't know who Rich Harrison is. So here's how I look at this. You have men who are writing songs for women to sing about men. So when you complain about women having these anthems that they're singing, it is men who are writing the songs. Independent from Neo, independent from Webby. She got her own house. She got her own car. You a bad broad. Right? Don't get mad at us. Because the men wrote the songs. Now, here's the other question is, if the men are writing the songs about men for women to sing, then I have a question. How do men view themselves? I'm just asking. Should we go down and look at the lyrics for Soldier? Sean Garrett and Rich Harris assisted in the writing of this song. Okay, let's go. Because, I hear this all the time. And I'm like, if a man is writing a song about a man for a woman to sing, what does that mean the man think about himself? I'm waiting. I mean, I could go on, but let's start with the lyrics. Hey, I want a soldier. The way you got it, I'm the hottest around. They'll know this must be T.I. song. We like them boys that be in the lack leaning. Open their mouth, they grill gleaming. Candy paint, keep the whip clean, keep the whip clean. They always be talking that country slang. We like now listen, these are men writing the songs for women to sing about men. So the question I have is, how do men, in particular, let's really narrow it down. How do black men view themselves? I'm asking a question. And this goes really deeper than this, because you would get out here and you would blame women about these songs and these anthems and stuff like that, when it's the pen and the paper is men. But guess what? Here's the nuance to this. They write the songs, the women sing it, they get paid, and the men get paid too for writing the song. And then they go on and they go sing, they go do another anthem for another woman, and it's just anthem after anthem after anthem. But who get blamed? The women. Somebody told me I was splitting hairs. I'm like, how am I splitting hairs on facts? I can't split hairs on facts. So I have a question. How do men view themselves? If a man is writing this song and the songwriter is a black male, then that's how black men view other black men. Go check them. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there. If your status ain't hood, this is a man writing this. If your status ain't hood, I ain't checking for him. Better be street if he looking at me. I need a soldier. Okay. So what is that? Feminine energy? Transgender energy? Masculine energy? What energy is that? I'm petty today. I'm tired of it. All right. Okay, you're like Tameika. That's Destiny's Child. That's Beyonce. That's Destiny's Child. like, like Tameika. Ah. Okay. All right. What is Sierra's song? I think it was written by Sean Garrett too. I think he did a song with her. It may be somebody else I may be thinking about. Yeah, Silhouette. Let's go down Sean Garrett's discography. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go down that. All right. Sean Garrett. All right, My Baby featuring Kanye West, Demeter Joe, Janet Jackson, Sierra, Goodies, My Goodies, Not My Goodies, Ooh Baby. Let's see, Destiny's Child, Lose My Breath, Gots My Own, Soldier, T-shirt, Is She the Reason, Girl, Game Over, Through Love, Wrote for B5, Wrote for Mary J. Blige, Enough Crying, Good Woman Down, Show Love. I'm gonna stick to all the women. Touch. We're gonna stick to all the women. Tierra Marie, Make Her Feel Good. No Daddy. Like the list goes on, right? And I'm not knocking this man for making his money. What I'm simply saying is, stop coming out here talking about women sing these anthems when it's men that are writing the songs. Get Me Body, Upgrade You. Everybody know that song. Ring the alarm, right? Khalees, Blindfold Me. Fantasia, Not the Way I Do It. Let's keep going. JoJo, Gwen Stefani, Monica, Hell No, Leave Home. Thanks for the Misery. Sierra, Bang It Up. His list goes on, and I can go on. I ain't even got to the. I'm still in 2008, 2009. I ain't even got up, right? Nicki Minaj, Massive Attack. Beyonce, Four, lay up under me. Mary J. Blige, Journey, Love of a Woman. His discography goes on and on and on. All I'm simply saying is, when y'all talk about women make these songs, women didn't write these songs, they sing them songs. And the men actually write the songs for the women. So that means you have to ask yourself as a man, how do you view yourself as a man? If you writing the songs for the women, how do you view yourself as a man? But we could talk of plenty of songwriters. Oh, you want to talk about Neo? And his discography, let's talk about his discography and the songs that he has written for women to sing about men. He is another one. I could go on. D drop the link. I want only men to come up. I want only men to come up. I got questions. We can talk. I'm cool with talking. I want to hear from a man. I want to hear from a man. I want to hear from a man because I want to know what is it that what is how do other black men see other black men? I want to know. When you hear now that you know who wrote these songs, and these ain't the only songs. I could go on. You want to talk about rap lyrics? You want to talk about black men who have written rap lyrics for women talking about black men? You want to talk about that? We could go there too. You want to talk about Biggie? You want to talk about Foxy Brown? You want to talk about Jay-Z? Who else? Who else you want to talk about? I want the fellas to join. I want to have a conversation with you because I want to know if you mad at the women for singing the songs, why you not mad at the men for writing the songs? Why is it that you don't take aim at them? Why you not over there knocking on their Instagram? Why you not over there taking their page down? So is that how black men view each other? Is that what it is? Y'all got to be hood? I'm asking. Don't be afraid. This is a safe space. I'm only asking questions. I'm asking questions for clarity. Don't be silent now. Hop on up. Now, while we wait for the men, let's continue. If the men are writing the songs and the women are singing them, because what I pushback I get is, oh, the women are singing them because it appeals to an audience. Well, what audience is that? What audience is that? And how does this man know this audience? It's this question. I'm just asking, right? Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's read off Neo's independent song. Oh, it's something about her. I can't figure it out. We know that. Sad is something about her, the kind of woman that you want, but don't need you. The first thing y'all be like, I want a woman to need me. This is written by a man, sung by a man, a kind of woman that you want, but don't need you. This is the lyrics, right? Cause she walk like a boss, talk like a boss, manicured nails to set the pedicure off. She's fly, she move like a boss. Y'all say we don't want no boss woman. I don't make the lyrics up. I'm just reading the lyrics. Go be mad at Neo. She got her own house. She got her own car. Go be mad at Webby. She a bad broad. If you ain't on, sit down. I don't know what you mean. Not in my household, raised to respect myself, so can't go that low. I don't know what you mean. What you mean, BOG? I'm not sure. Can you clarify that for me? No takers, D. D say move on. I just got questions. All right. You know I always have questions. I'm an equal. I'm an equal opportunity exploiter. Let's talk about this. Atlanta mother of 8 evicted from her home due to struggling to make ends meet, and she living in a hotel. So, ladies, I have a question. How you get 8 kids and you struggling and you go live in a hotel, right? And I'm gonna skip through this. I'm not gonna play the video because that means I gotta take my headphones off. All right, she got 8 kids. You see, she needs some dental work. Baby needed to have 2 kidneys removed. Right, that took her under. The baby don't feel good, and they live all living in a hotel, and they look like they stair step too. So I don't know this woman's history. I don't know her story. They all look similar. I don't know if she was with a guy and he died or he left. I don't know this lady's story. Right. But here's what I do know. She has 8 kids and she's living in a hotel. And we could talk about her, but let's hold everybody accountable. We seen the guy on Oprah show. Oh, it wasn't even Oprah show. It was Ilana Fix My Life that had the 34 kids. He had 34 kids. Ilana Fix My Life. Right here. Father of 34 children, a grandfather for the third time. He got 34 kids. Right? She got 8. There's another one out here running around say he might have 6 or 7 kids. We got Neo. We got Neo with multiple kids. We got Nick Cannon with multiple kids. Multiple kids in the black community. I have questions for y'all because this is why I have questions, and a lot of people like this ain't got nothing to do with me. Directly, it don't have nothing to do with you. Directly, it does have something to do with you, and let me tell you why it got something to do with you. It got something to do with you because in the end, some of these kids coming up are going to be peers to your kids. They're also going to be mates to your kids. And they're also going to be caretakers for some of you millennials and caretakers for some of us as Gen X. Don Watts ties up. Appreciate it. It done. Is your status hood? Just play. Done. Is your status saying hood? I ain't checking for you. Gotta be street. All right. Shout out to Sean Garrett. Shout out to Neo. Shout out to Webby and all the songwriters. I can go on. Jermaine Dupri. We could go on. Whatever the case may be. Those kids that are coming behind us are the kids that are going to be the ones that are taking care of you. Now, we can sit here and say, hey, they don't know how to read and write. It's a shame. But if they don't know how to read and write and give you the right prescription or read and write and give you the right X, Y, and Z, you got a problem on your hand. So this is where technology takes over because we know you can't read and write. We're going to assign you an AI nurse. We're going to have you on rotation. You're going to see more and more tech, much more tech in your space than what you want. That human touch that you're looking for is going to be in a video camera or in a tablet that's sitting on your bedside. It's going to say the bot should be around, your medicine will be on the cart. Those that can sit up, the cart is just going to show up with your doses and everything and give you your medicine. Period. The folks that can't read and write, you're going to be in hotels. You're going to be in motels. Trafficking, sex trafficking, huge. It's going to stay that way. There's no way a mother of 8 living in a hotel can provide the protection and the guidance that she needs to provide for them kids. Not without a village. And she may have a village. Here's the other side of it. You're going to have to deal with them either way it goes. And when I say you're going to have to deal with them either way it goes, it's not a negative thing. It means you're going to encounter that. What is going to happen when your child or your grandchild gets to be 20 to 25 and their peers cannot have not graduated from high school, they have not graduated from college? And here's the thing. And this is why this whole situation with affirmative action is really going, it's not going to affect you, but it's going to affect you. It's not going to affect you in the sense of, oh my goodness, we can't get jobs anymore. You want to go get jobs because you couldn't read in the first place. You want to go get jobs because you can't write in the first place. You weren't going to get anything that's going to help you get out of your situation. If you can't fill out an application, if you can't fill out an application, like I hear this a lot. I hear this a lot. Some of you men and some of you women won't even qualify for a home because you can't even fill out the application. You don't even know how. You don't even know how to fill out the application. You don't know what it means. You don't know what DTI means. You don't know. You don't have a bank account. You still got a rush card. Much less contribute to your 401k, much less contribute to anything else. So I hear you all out here on the internet and these different podcasts and so forth and so on. What I don't hear are solutions. And we can't think, and I'm sorry, you may think I'm being an ass. We just can't think that marriage is the only way. We just can't. We got to get out of the mindset that marriage is going to solve that problem. Because one, we're not even getting married. So that's another thing. We're not even getting married. So we can't sit here and say we got to have marriage and build a black family back up to solve that. We're not even getting married. So that's why I propose, before y'all even talk about getting married. Don't log off, Rain. Listen, before you even start talking about getting married, let's get financially fit. Let's get financially healthy before you even start talking about marriage. Before you even start talking about, I want to date. Fix your finances first. I do it every week. Foolish Finance Fridays. I've been doing foolish petty tea stuff for over a year, where I have showed you time and time again, some people just ain't got it. People lie about their finances. People lie about whatever it is because nobody ever wants to look bad in a situation. You know how it feels to be in a relationship with somebody for 5 years and you've been telling them you good, and now it's time to go buy a house together and you show up and you ain't good? You're not solvent. Let me say it. You're not solvent. If you don't know what that word means, look it up. If not, go to yesterday's show. Get that in your vocabulary. If you want to be cute on the date and you want to know what's going on, you ask a guy and say, "Hey, are you solvent in your liabilities and your assets? Are you solvent?" No man pulled up. They weren't gonna pull up. It was nothing to pull up on, Don. It was you can't dispute facts. You can't dispute facts, right? Are you solvent? Meaning, do you have more assets over liabilities? Solvent, right? And a lot of you men and a lot of you women need to ask that question. Don't wait till you're dating someone, y'all 2 and 3 Years into it, you find out she got student loan debt for 200,000. You want to marry her, but you can't marry her because she got 200,000 worth of debt. Same thing when it comes down to women. If you see a man and he out there and you like he cute, he could be cute and broke. He could be cute and married and broke. He could be cute, married, broke, and bisexual. It could be a number of things. Y'all better start asking questions. Y'all sit on the sideline and you look and you don't even ask the right questions. The first thing y'all be thinking about is, oh, he cute. We gonna go out to dinner. This, that, and mm-mm. D will tell you in a heartbeat. I'll be like, let's talk on the phone. Let's let's talk on the phone. let me know where things is at with you first before we step outside. And the other thing too, you may be stepping outside with somebody who just got out of a toxic relationship, and the girl looking for him or the guy looking for her, and you sitting at a restaurant and walk up on something. You don't even know if that person just got out of a relationship. You don't know if the person is crazy. Take your time. I didn't say take 5 years. I said take your time. Put a timestamp on that. Let me read the comments. Let's see some comments here. Stacy G said, you think a lot has to do with how they grew up. And I think a lot of it has to not necessarily always do with how they grew up. I think a lot of it has to do with you could have came from a stable background. Your mama and daddy could have been in your household and you chose to go off as you got older down a different path. I see it all the time. Just because you come from a two-parent household and your mama and daddy still together doesn't mean that your daddy won't whooping on your mama head. I know couples like I know a guy like that too. I've seen so many different combinations of what we have an idea of two-parent household is, and sometimes some two-parent households ain't healthy. And yeah, read me just statistics about, oh well, we know two-parent households fare if they come from a two-parent household, they fare out better than they come from a single-parent household. Yeah, let's break that further even down even further. Let me see the stats for two-parent black households. Let me see those stats, right? And I'm not saying that two-parent households aren't good. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm simply saying is this: stop putting all your eggs in thinking that once you get married, it's gonna save you. You need to save yourself before marriage so y'all can be healthy and whole when y'all do get married. Your finances need to be correct before y'all do get married. You should know her credit score. You should know his credit score. You should know what investments they into. Y'all should be very totally transparent. It's two worlds coming together. You mean to tell me y'all can't share that with each other? And I hear it out here all the time, like, oh my goodness, don't ever tell a woman that you married to how much you make. How does that shit work? I got questions. How does that work? She don't never know how much you make. Okay, well then she's not supposed to know how much you weigh. So then there's no trust. Well, where's the trust? It don't exist. What the hell, right? If she had a village, she wouldn't be in the hotel. Well, she might have a village at the hotel. Cash App been beating up folks all week. I don't know what happened that Heather. Yep, you seen homeless married couples. You said Stacey G said I was shocked when I heard that low income neighborhood people couldn't get a job at Family Dollar because they couldn't fill out. Yeah, they couldn't fill out a basic application. They don't know how to read. They don't know how to write. They don't understand what they're asking on the application. It's literally people like literally there are people sitting down in locations helping grown men and grown women fill out applications so they can get a job. That is a paid service. So if any of y'all want to know how to get paid on the side, offer to fill out an application for somebody. Find out what their skills are, get them a nice little resume, fill out an application. There you go. You could charge them $30. Like $30 for 5 applications. whatever the case may be. Set up a service. You said, how do you help adults? Adults that are there are free programs out there, GRE programs. But in order to get in the GRE program, you got to read in the GRE program. You got to pass. You gonna be an ass and just focus on self. On self, you can focus on self. Then there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. However, you're still going to encounter people who don't know how to read and write. You're going to encounter people that don't know don't understand basic math, order of operations, how to add and subtract, how to divide, how to multiply, how to carry the motherfucking one. Like, you still gonna run into them. And I'm not saying you're gonna run into them as far as you dating them. They're just gonna be out and about and you're gonna run into them. Now, will you run into them while dating? Maybe, depending on the talent that you pull it from, the pool that you pull it from. I hear it all the time. People are like, "Well, I'm getting tired of seeing this when I'm out in the street. I'm tired of seeing women wearing bonnets and pajamas out in the street." And I'm like, "Where are you at where you can see women wearing pajamas and bonnets?" Because when I go outside, granted, I'm in Colorado, I don't see that. I don't see women in pajamas and bonnets. Now, I take that back. I do see women in pajamas that go into Walmart, but they be kids. I do see that. But however, when it come down to pajamas and bonnets and stuff, I go through the airport all the time. I don't see that. So I be having questions. Where are you seeing these things at? And if you're seeing them all the time, it's a you issue to me because I don't see that. I just don't. When I was in Atlanta, I can't say that when I was outside, I saw pajamas and bonnets. I can't say that. I don't know. Did you see any? I didn't see no bonnets. I didn't see no pajamas. But then I think it's also where you go hang out at. If you going to the brunch that get crunk and they let you dance on tables, you might see the pajamas and the bonnets. But I guarantee you, if you take your ass to Four Seasons, you're not seeing pajamas and bonnets. It's where you choose to go. Yep, been taken advantage of. They're right. I don't. You know what? Growing up, it was never a cultural thing where it wasn't cool to be smart. We competed to see who was gonna be the smartest. We competed to see who was gonna be the smartest. That wasn't a thing for me. Like, oh, did you get an 88 on the test? Yeah, I got a 78. What did you do? How did you do that? Oh, okay, so that's what I missed. Let me go back and study that. Oh, did you read all the chapters for the chemistry exam? Yeah, and I got my notes. Let's compare notes so we make sure our notes is good. Oh, it's an exam coming up, right? Yeah. You gonna study? Yeah. Hell yeah, I'm gonna study. What days you studying on? I'm studying every day. Okay. I'm gonna call you tonight. And then I've been studying like that, literally, no lie, since the eighth grade. Since the eighth grade, I had me and this guy named QB. And then maybe Ramon. You see Ramon on YouTube. Another guy named Lee, and I was always the only girl. One of black girls in the classes that I was taking in the advanced math, in the advanced calculus classes. Maybe in my biology class. I mean, no, my chemistry class and my biology class. But me and QB sat right next to each other. And I would like, oh, did you catch those? You took notes? Okay, yeah, let's compare notes. We get on the phone, 8 o'clock at night. We on the phone for 2 hours comparing notes. this what I read from this chapter. This is what I understood. This is what it was. That's how we did it. What's going on, Don? I can't hear you.
I figured since nobody else is even gonna come up and give a comment, I mean, I guess I'll briefly say something.
Look at Don looking sexy back there cooking.
I'm a- I'm actually trying to clean out the grill and stuff, cause like ever since we got a new pellet grill, like I just be trying to put that thing to work. I'm getting
I
every
bet
day
you
I
you do.
can out
I
of
bet
this.
you do. That pellet grill. I bet you do.
Shoot, hosting all that, like everything, every day I can get out of this summer. But
I'm not mad at you. I understand how much they cost.
yeah, but I mean, so nobody else is gonna at least give a comment. You know what I'm saying? I figured I'd just speak on it just briefly.
Go ahead. I'm
Uh,
listening.
so just so I make sure I understand, you know, what exactly you were talking about.
Hmm.
You were talking about what you've been hearing and the stuff that you've been seeing about blaming women for the way women are, or women artists for putting out these messages for the way women are.
Right. So the thing is, the messages in the song have caused the women today to be to want a guy that's hood, or a guy that is not a nerd or square, or they're looking for the bad guy, if you want to sum it up that way. And what I'm saying, and the songs that are used in these examples are men wrote those songs. Women sung those songs, but men wrote those songs. But what I never hear is, I never hear anybody have beef with the songwriter. They always have beef with the song, with the person singing the song. And my question is, why you don't have beef with the songwriter? Because it's black men who wrote the songs about black men for a woman to sing. And I find the irony in all of that is that how black men view each other? And if that's how black men view each other, then we have a bigger problem, because the problem isn't the women. Because if you want to really break it down, it's the men that are leading, even in this case. The men are leading, they're writing the songs, the women are singing the songs, and the women that are they're hearing the songs are following what the men have written. So how can you actually be mad at the woman who's out here listening to the song? There's men that are leading, that are writing the songs. I get it. We all make our own decisions, but we got to have some accountability on both parts. And both parts is the women who are singing the song and the men who are writing the songs. And then the other part is the women who hear the songs. And the men too. Let's not get it twisted.
Okay, so I'll take it a step further before I to give like my little comment.
Okay.
Um, I remember it was maybe like 2, 3 years ago, maybe a little further than that. Cardi B, she was on one of her lives, and I saw a clip from it, which she was talking about a song that she put out that she really liked. It wasn't the message where she was out here, doing what she normally does, or talking what she normally talks about, but people weren't receptive to it, and they didn't want to promote it, and it wasn't dealing with what you normally hear her talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I take it a step further and say that it's all about what people in general want to hear, but uh,
What makes money?
my basically. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the first thing is like you complaining about something you love, you buy it. So why are you? And then the other thing about the situation too is like you're talking about the women are bad because they receiving the messaging and they doing all this stuff just because they receiving the messaging. Well, it's it's complicated. It's not that simple. So I
Mm-hmm.
can't strictly just blame like the women like they hearing this message and they just doing it. People just aren't that simple. A
Mm-hmm.
big part of it for me when I was coming up, because honestly, the stuff that um came out in the 90s and before was kind of worse.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I had, even though I didn't have the best upbringing at all, like I
Mm-hmm.
had two parents and they both reinforced the message that this is entertainment and nothing else. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
part of it. And
Mm-hmm.
then another part of it too is just like these people that's putting out this messaging, because these podcasters, whoever it is, they are not, they just as bad. The people that are constantly putting out this messaging that, oh, the music is bad, that's why everybody is bad. They just as bad as the messages coming out of the music, because they know they're dealing with people that don't think. So when you were talking about, oh, why don't they ever go after the songwriters? Oh, because they're not gonna go after the songwriters because they're dumb enough to think that all these people write their own songs,
I
even though
got that.
they
Yeah,
and he
I agree with that. And that's
and,
why I bring it up. The songwriters, what about the songwriters? Are we not gonna hold them accountable? Because they don't made the songwriters that made their money. You can't tell me Sean Garrett, Neil ain't made plenty of money off of writing songs. And if we want to be fair, anthems for women talking about men. It just goes to show you that when we're talking about, I don't want to say hip hop culture because it's R&B as well too, right? We're talking about we just if we talk about R&B, if we talk about hip hop, if we talk about neo soul as a totality, there are men that have written songs for women and there are women that have written songs for men, but it goes back to my original point. Is that how you view yourself, and is that how you view men? Is that how you view women? And I have a question about that, because if that's how we view each other, all this money that we trying to save, all these degrees that we trying to get, all this learning that we trying to do, it don't mean nothing until we look at each other in a positive light where we're like, that's a human being over there that's trying to make it. That's another human being over there that's trying to make it. Until we start to see each other human, until it don't even matter.
yeah, and people, I mean, people got to get out the house too. So you
They
can't
do.
sit up here and ingest all of this poison, because the brain is a creature of repetition. That's what I learned in my line of work, and I saw it in real time. So the more you take in this crap, the more that you actually gonna believe that it's true, even though it's not. And then another thing too that I noticed, that a lot of people, I say younger ones, this is younger than me, even though I ain't old, that they don't do nowadays that we used to have to do. Like we would be third and fourth graders, and we had to do little stuff like they would take days off, like when we were at school, and we would have to go like take on like a kindergarten or first or second grader, and we either had to read to them or we had to play with them or do all this other stuff. Every so often we had to do stuff
Give
like
back.
that. Everybody move around as individuals now,
Hmm.
so, and nobody's thinking. And if you wanted to remotely blame anybody for the situation that we're in, is really bad parenting. That's really what it is.
It's a
That's
combination.
yeah.
It's a combination. I'm gonna say it's a combination of and because here's when we get into bad parenting, right? We get into bad parenting and say that the mom and dad had to work, and so they not at home with the children, right? Because I mean, the dad may be making 25,000, the mama may be making 30,000. They got two kids. They trying to make ends meet. They know they can't make it out for his 25 or his 30. It ain't happening. So
Hmm.
somebody had to go to work. So it's two parents now working. And so they're trying to make that thing work. And then they got two kids that are not at home being supervised 24/7. One parent may show up to a PTA, or another one may not show up to a PTA. Somebody got to do something, right? So again,
Yeah.
I look at it as not necessarily bad parenting. It's just parents had to do what they had to do, thus leaving the kids to their own devices. And you hope you instill morals into those kids and have a group of people around them that could go check on them, or you could drop them off somewhere if you had to, or if you could, but you hope and pray that you instill something in them that would stick with them. And that's throughout life. But if it don't stick with them and they make a mistake, what's the question? Like again, a 5-year-old can make a mistake and choose, right? You start making decisions early. And I'm not saying that a 5-year-old doesn't have guidance. I'm just saying when that 5-year-old get to school and that 5-year-old is looking at that other kid and that kid got a toy or something that they like, there's a conscious decision that goes on and say, I'm gonna go over there and snatch it, or I'm gonna ask to play with it. And you can be nice and kind to your kid and show them how to share and all that, but some kids are just bad. Like this is like some kids are just bad. And you can be nice and kind to them all you, and some kids are just bad, and some kids are just nice, and some kids you could put your timid kid in a lion's den, and that kid gonna get ate up, or that kid gonna be like, nah, I ain't gonna get ate up, ma. I ain't gonna, dad, nah, I got this. I fought back. It depends. Every child is different. I just know from being a child. That's just my thing. I know from being a child, you throw me in the lion's den, I'm gonna be like, okay, I gotta figure out how to get out of this. I ain't gonna just let them beat up on me now. Like
Yeah,
it's just one of them things.
yeah. All in all, it's too many factors that go into it for anybody to
It
say
is.
like women. And then if I'm gonna put everything on the women for the women being the way they are, then I gotta naturally assume that either I'm not or I never was the leader of my community. And I don't do that
Mm-hmm.
because I do consider myself, a leader. I am
Mm-hmm.
the leader of my family. That's what I am.
Mm-hmm.
My immediate family and the family that I'm gonna have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the patriarch of
Mm-hmm.
that family. So like the dudes, people who say this, men and women, trying to push it completely on the other person or the other sex, do not understand like what leadership is or even what the problem is. It's too complex to say they listen to this music, they're bad, this is their fault. Because we were exposed to exact same things,
Oh,
and we
I
had
was
to make.
we was exposed to Luke. We was exposed to the 69 boys. Akinelli, I put it in your mouth. Like I could go on. I could go on with what came out of the 90s, and you got a decision to make. Do you want to be dancing on top of the car, or you want to be in the car? Do you want to be on the pole, or you want to be outside? Do you want to go to work? Do you want to go work at the state? Do you want to go work for the city? Do you want to go work at Ford, or you want to go work at General Motors? Do you going to work for the college, or you going to go to college? You had options. And that if you chose either one of them things, it didn't come out the way your life wanted to be, you had options. You had options, and people made decisions, and they made decisions based upon whatever it was that was around them. And again, some people came out of it okay, and some people didn't come out okay. But you had options, you had choices that you had to make. We didn't have Instagram back then. We barely had what Yo MTV Raps. What's the guy from with the blue with the green eyes on BET? What's his name? Donnie Simpson.
Uh,
Yeah, Donnie Simpson. We barely had videos.
yeah, I yeah, I ain't gonna lie, I don't really watch BT, but um,
That's back in the day. You didn't have no choice.
yeah,
You's a young cat. You got options now.
yeah, but another thing too, like I think you were talking a little bit yesterday. You did say this. You spoke yesterday a little bit, just briefly about the Supreme Court ruling, and I had an idea what your take might be,
Mm-hmm.
i.e., like it really ain't gonna make no difference in your life.
It's not.
Because and I get that because a lot of what you're doing is, or what y'all doing, or people doing in this space is heavily skills based. And along with that, like I would look at other things talking about how this could be good or this is going to turn out to be a good thing for quote unquote HBCUs. And the one thing that I see, it don't matter if it's an HBCU, it don't matter if it's a PWI, it doesn't matter if people go into these places in mass numbers. If you don't go in there with the proper mindset, i.e., thinking the same way people are not thinking about the stuff that they constantly encounter on a daily basis, this music that they say is changing people, even
Mm-hmm.
though you could think through it and figure out this ain't real. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't go in there thinking through these things with a plan, it's going to be the same result, possibly worse with sending everybody to college because everybody going to be in debt.
Well, here's the other part of this, right? When I look at just going to college, like even when I go online and look at HBCUs, right? The
Hmm.
the one the What I always constantly see is the band, the dancing, the drill team or the girls dance or whatever they want to call themselves now. And then I never see online, and I'm gonna search for it today. But I never see online about the education that you get at the HBCU, or this school and that school are competing in their engineering programs, and they're putting together X, Y, and Z. I don't know if it's not being broadcasted or if there's a special channel that I'm supposed to dial into. I could be totally wrong, but I never see that promoted. Not even when I'm on Instagram, I never see that promoted.
It,
I never see anything like that. So the question now is, if we're gonna start promoting HBCUs, what is the outcome? And like some people said on some of the channels about HBCUs, most of the time they don't really offer good scholarships for people to go. They don't ever offer full rides. So that's why some people end up at the PWIs, because again, their funding is bigger. And so they can go to that PWI and so forth. So I get it.
yeah, the PWIs, they do dish out way more money. And then another thing I say about the a lot of HBCUs that I've been to, visited, and so on and so forth, and been to in comparison to a lot of the PWIs. When you talk about just activities for the people to keep them like out of the nonsense when they ain't doing nothing, they don't have enough. They don't have enough.
Okay.
But the good things that they do have, it doesn't really get pushed or promoted, because that also speaks to what people really want to hear.
Hmm.
Is that really what's going to draw them in?
Right. Yeah,
So
I just be having, again, not my mad rant, but it's just questions that I had about, like, what are we actually arguing about when it comes to this, and then go from there. Like, what are we actually arguing about? Like, are we really mad at people for some songs that was written by somebody else? Like, is that what we talking about?
yeah, because I they don't people just it's a distraction, because the reality is like I'll just talk about me. I was a person that I grew up in the hood or whatever, or what you would call the hood, and I didn't see and experience. I didn't had a lot of excitement before the age of 18 that people ain't gonna have their whole life. And I'm telling you, like I was just in a group of us. We were people that just chose not to act like that, or chose just not to be in that. And the one thing I do know about I don't want to I don't like talking like relationship stuff, but the one thing I do know about women, I don't like it. The one thing I know about women, even if you see them partying and saying and doing whatever, what people say ain't always what they actually doing and what they want. You got to actually get outside and talk to people. Another big thing about these dudes, okay, I'm gonna say this. Another thing about the dudes, another thing about the dudes that's supposedly making these complaints about how the women are. The reason why a lot of dudes, a lot of women didn't choose better, or I say a lot of like young women didn't choose better, is because these dudes, I can't say the word, they was too cowardly to approach. If they had approached, then they would have found out. They'd have got exactly what they
Well,
wanted.
I'm gonna spin it like this, because I think this is another conversation that needs to be had, right? The other part of the conversation that needs to be had is, even if the guy approached, or even if the girl approached, was he financially healthy at that time? And 9 times out of 10, in your 20s, you were not. So this is why I fall back to, not necessarily the parenting, but at some point, the conversation has to be had, whether you're getting it from your father and your mother, or somebody in your family. A finance conversation has to happen, because we move off of, I like you, you like me, you cute, I'm cute, we going to school together, oh snap, we gonna get married and get pregnant. But that there's no talk about being financially stable, how we're gonna pay for a child, how we're gonna pay for a house. And that conversation doesn't come up to after the fact. And now we're spending this, what, 10, 20 years trying to figure out life, like, until you get stable. And I think a lot I've heard a lot of men say this. A man doesn't really hit his stride until he in his 40 late 40s or 50s. So that means that woman, excuse the language, has to suffer or endure hardships for 30, 40 years until you figure it out. Why can't we figure it out in the 20s? Why can't we do that now? Why can't we figure out finances in the 20s so you hit your stride at 25 or 30 and not have to wait till you 40 or 50 to really hit your true stride? Why is that a why is that the message being pushed in our in our group to say stay with this man, marry him young, and stay with him till he hit his 40s or 50s, and that's when he hit his stride. Why can't they hit their stride earlier? Because if we can hit our stride earlier and have this finance conversation earlier, then we won't have to worry about this 40 or 50. Because at that point in time, and don't get it twisted, men and women both in a relationship are gonna get frustrated with each other. There's gonna be a point in time where you don't like each other. I'm not saying get divorced. What I'm saying is there's gonna be somebody is not gonna be able to sustain that happiness for that longer period of time. So why can't we focus on teaching finances earlier? We know it's a problem. We see it out there. Why are we not having this conversation in a HBCU, in a PWI, in whatever the case may be? Why is that not a conversation saying, hey, look, when we're talking about this, let's start this conversation about finances early, right? Because all I hear is she gonna stay at home. Well,
So what's
okay,
early?
early to me is before, but actually before they even go off to college. To me,
Yeah,
because here's the
because
problem. Here's the problem. Because you was once that young adult going off to college. You didn't think about a budget. You didn't think about, okay, X, Y, and Z. How much does a kid cost? Do I have insurance for that child? Can I afford to take care of that child? What happens if she gets pregnant and she got twins? What happens? What am I gonna do as a man? What am I gonna do as a woman? Do I have insurance for her? Does she have insurance for herself so she could go to the doctor? Prenatal care, all those things. That's never a conversation, and that conversation has to happen before that kid goes to college, both on the man side and the woman side. And also a budget. What is your budget? Look, every month you're gonna get a stipend of $500. You got food. You need to make this work for you. I can't do no more.
I'm I'm gonna be real with you. Like this is a so first off, that ain't, especially like the people in my parents' generation. Number one, they didn't have that knowledge to
I
pass off
I
to you.
got that. Yeah,
That's that part. I had to accept that. Um,
right.
Number two, um, and this was a real thing. I know you far removed from this because you know y'all
You be surprised.
millionaires, and
You be surprised.
but a big thing that was happening with us in my peer group is like a lot of us, we weren't really given the guidance like that. And then when we came up, when we came out and was trying to figure it out for ourselves, then we were made to, you know, come back and no guidance, no help. Once we got out and figured out, all right, now you got to give back to me because I raised you, so now you owe
Join
me.
the
And
club.
that's what a
Join the
lot of them.
club.
But
join
in the process,
join the
I,
club.
I'm not saying that as the excuse because
No,
I don't.
I'm not saying that it's an excuse. What I'm simply saying is we're speaking the same language. But what I'm
Yeah,
saying is now we have the opportunity to change that.
yeah.
We had the opportunity to change that, right? And that opportunity is, hey, you are this young kid growing up. You need to think about how much it costs to raise a child, how much it costs how much it costs for your insurance alone,
Hmm.
maxing out your 401k, maxing out your IRA, maxing out your pension, whatever it is, that whatever investment tool that is. Now add a girlfriend that's pregnant to that.
Mm.
Now max that out too, because she gonna need some money. It can't all
Mm.
be on her. Because that's gonna be the conversation is, well, what's she doing? Why she not working? Well, is she pregnant? What if she got a what she got an at-risk pregnancy? What if and you can have an at-risk pregnancy at any age. Let's be clear about this.
Yeah.
Right? So again, the conversation has to be transparent, and we don't talk about finances. We are afraid to talk about it. I get cussed out all the time. Every time I say, hey, let's aim for 200,000, I got somebody cussing me out. If I say, hey, let's aim for 500,000, I got somebody cussing me out. And the question is, well, how much longer you want to be at 45,000? Let me know how long you want to stay there so I can meet you at that date, and so we could talk about it then. Because I don't understand how you okay with being at 45,000 for 15 years. It don't make sense to me.
I look. I can't relate. I'm not gonna say I've always been
I get
above
it.
45,000, but I've
We
always
all
been
we all
above the
been through
median.
it. Yeah, we all been
Yeah.
through it. We all had our pay, our pay increases. We've all had that. I get that.
But people, so I think it's the conversation is changing. It's starting to be a shift. I think what people are going through right now is, um, yeah, people are entertaining the conversation. They want to change, but people are going through this thing again where when they start to see the work that goes into it, they're starting to get discouraged again. So once again, like it's gonna take some time, but I believe that the change is gonna happen for more people, not all people, maybe not even most, but more people because now everybody's getting the message, and the internet has afforded us, all these additional ways to get true
Listen,
information.
listen. Let me tell you what message you gonna that they already getting, and if you ain't figured out how it's gonna work out, let me tell you the message you already getting. We send the billions over to the Ukraine. We got millions at the border waiting to come in. We're setting up a treaty with India to have India come over and actually start filling the positions, right? I'm starting to see more and more jobs saying, "Hey, you need to be a US citizen, but we'll take you if you have a visa as well too." And then and on top of that, I'm starting to see more and more of these tech cities pop up in random places, not just random places, but rural places that have been designated. It's a reason why those areas have been designated. And if you look at those areas, why those areas been designated as tech cities, there's not a large black population there. That's just face the facts on that. There's not a large population in some of these cities that they're designated as new tech cities. So
Mm.
those cities are going to be multicultural cities. They're going to be diverse cities, and you're going to have to figure out where you fit in and where you get in it. You're going to have to have your skills, or you're going to have to have a company, or you're going to hire people, or what have you. That is what's going to happen, and it's already happening, and it's been happening. We just late to the game, and I meant to talk about this last night. If you ain't gonna go to a 4 year college, go to a 2 year college. Do your general ed stuff, take whatever trade you're gonna take there, and then transfer in. If you get a trade, work in your trade for a year, then transfer into a 4 year college. But now you have worked and got your money stacked up when you ain't gotta worry about what they doing scholarship wise or what have you. You're your own business person. Stop trying to do things in a vacuum and start doing things within a group. Go join a mastermind. Go join a group of business people that got pool routes. Go sit down and look at what they're talking about. They got pool conferences every year. They have electrician conferences every year. A plumber conference every year. We got a Linux conference every year. Several of them. We any trade you could think of. There's a conference. Go join the conference. Go build your community around that, because they're the ones that's getting to the money, and you can get to it too. You don't have to be on the island by yourself if you don't want to, but we choose to be on the island because we're like, I know I can do it. I'm out here on myself, right? You don't have to. You say college is a scam. We do need education, continue education in this engine. And yeah, I hear that. I hear you to engineering cannabis. I hear you talking. You went to college though.
I would tell. Okay, so I would say as a person who, like, I was doing college here and there or whatever, and then
Mhm.
I'm still not done yet. I'm gonna be done with this first portion in 2024, but I started a business before I went to college. When I
Mhm.
actually went to college to go study, because I knew why I was going, it actually made what I was doing. It made me better at what I'm doing.
Mhm.
So it is a scam and a waste of money if all you do is listen to the marketing, or if all you do is listen to people on average make $1 million more or $2 million more in their lifetime
Mhm.
in comparison to people that don't go to college. If you look at that and you don't look into why, then
Mhm.
I guess it is a scam. Or rather, I can't even say it's a scam or not. Are you just dumb for not like trying to think into it?
Outside the
Like, why
box.
is this? Yeah, thinking outside the box. So college is not for everybody, but I don't believe necessarily college is a scam. So
I don't,
you just
I
got to
don't
go into
I don't
everything purposefully.
I don't think college is a scam. I think the why you want to go to college could be the scam, right? So, for example, I know a lot of people saying they're going to college to study psychology because they want to be a psychiatrist or whatnot. Okay, well, how long is that going to take you? What's the length amount of time to do that? Is there something else that you could do right now that could earn you some money so you don't have those big bills at the end of it, right? Like I did that the Foolish Finance Fridays. The girl was sitting there with 200,000, or was it 280,000, something like that, in debt, in credit cards, and she's with her boyfriend, and she's saying that, hey, if I give you the money cash and you pay, they'll make a decision on that debt, and I only have to pay like 100,000 or 500,000 or something. I mean, or 5,000 or something like that. But now, and this is the issue that I have. We're dating, and we have a debt that we're in while we're dating, and then we're trying to come out of this debt after we get married. And so we don't like each other because we realize that we got this debt. We don't like each other because we realize we may not see the end of this. And so we got to get outside of our own way and realize that let's work on understanding what debt is, understand what a budget is, what finances is, way before y'all start dating. And that's for any man or any woman. I don't care what age you are. I don't care if you're in your 20s. I don't care if you're in your 50s. You need to understand what that means. And so you need to understand, like, nobody is knocking you if you're talking about debt or if you're talking about having every X, Y, and Z. But we also got to understand that, damn, it's gonna take a lot to get out of debt at 200 and $300,000, and that's on men and women. That's on any age. And we got to be comfortable with having these conversations. And we're not comfortable with having these conversations. That's one. The second part we're not comfortable with is you meet somebody, man or woman, who has really worked to keep themselves out of debt, who has really worked to establish their 401k and get their footing and so forth and so on. And so now we're at this point where you, the man or that woman, meets a guy and you're interested in him, and he don't understand finances. And he don't understand, and she don't understand finances, and she don't understand DTI or none of that. And so now the thing is, oh, they didn't pick me. Well, no, you got picked, but your debt eliminated you. You got picked, you got chose, but your debt eliminated you. And everybody would say this farce. I hear it all the time. Hey, if you love somebody, you're gonna take all their debt. So Don, a woman you meet, you like her, she cool, she $80,000 in debt, she working at a job, her job is paying her 60,000.
Oh, I asked the questions. Now, but a lot of people don't know how, and it amazes me. A lot of people don't know how to ask these questions without directly asking them. Like, it's so many ways that you can get the message off that you need to get off without actually saying it directly, or to have them just come out and say, "Yeah, that's a whole nother
Yeah,
thing."
yeah,
But yes, I asked the questions.
yeah. So, So I hear you. I hear what you're saying, Satara. Like you're saying that young people need guidance and accurate information for better decisions. No, what I'm saying is you need to do your due diligence and having and being okay with having a conversation about debt. That's for any age. And I want what I'm saying is we don't have that conversation at any age about that. It's taboo. It's taboo to talk about I'm linking up with a financial planner to make sure I'm on my path to have 10 million in my portfolio when I retire at the age of 65, or I'm on my path to have in my portfolio XYZ by the time I hit 50, and I want to retire at 50, or I want to make a lane change at 50, or I want to buy a company. We don't have those conversations. And it's not just young people, it's older people too. You're just not having that conversation, right?
Mm.
And again, this is I'm gonna say this, and I said this before. Once you hit, and this is my own personal thing, once you hit 25, you need to stop blaming your parents.
Not having an excuse for not getting. So I think they said in the soldier story. Um, I kind of I see a comment in here. I think D asked, give me an example. So want me to give you like one example of how I ask people about college debt without asking them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when I when I actually go on dates with people, because I date properly, I date to get to know people.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk, and then we'll talk about, work our way from stuff all the way from the beginning, like coming out of high school and all that other stuff. And I'll be talking about that, and they'll be talking about, what school they might have went to, starting off at high school, going into college. And I go into extracurriculars, like if they was involved in anything, what they did. And what they end up telling me, like when they tell me the college and whatever degree that they got, um, I found out certain things like what they were involved with. I would get so engrossed in what they're involved with. For example, if I'm dealing with somebody that was involved in band, I'll be like, oh wow, tell me more. And they'll tell me how deep they went in all the instruments they played. Then I'll talk about what I played and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We'll share little experiences and laugh. And then I'll hear, yeah, so did you continue and went to college? And he's like, oh yeah, when I went to college, blah blah blah. Then I find out, that they went to college. They did like one ensemble, which you got to get money to do that. One ensemble on all the different types of band, jazz band, concert,
Mm-hmm.
pep, all that. And then they're telling me like, yeah, I got a full ride. So my main thing was like, I had to do band. I was still able to have my fun and all the other stuff. Okay, so I know you have an undergraduate degree. You got a full ride. I know you graduated on time, so you don't have any college debt. That's one way that I do it. Now
Mm-hmm.
that's not, the only way. Another way, let's say I was dealing with somebody else, back when, who she had her master's degree. So I would be talking to her,
Mm-hmm.
and we be talking about things like our aspirations, like on a date and stuff that we wanted to do, or want to do, and how that may have changed over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And of course they go into the college part because that's a big part of a lot of people's lives. Then I found out they originally wanted to do this, but then they moved over to this, like for example psychology or something, because I found it to be more interesting. And then I found out because of that person's grades, like they had they basically they had a full ride. They had like little to no debt at all. So in my head, I'm like, okay, cool, not dealing with no college debt. This person got a car, but I'm looking at the type of car, how much it paid, the interest. In my head, I kind of know how much it costs or whatever, what she working with, and how much I know all that stuff just in the
Mm-hmm.
back of my mind while she's talking, because you got to make them talk. So then I find out when you get to grad school, I'm like, how does grad school? I haven't been to grad school, and so like, how does that work? So then they'll tell me, like, yeah, I went to grad school for this, doing psychology, so on and so forth, so on. And when you get to grad school, they don't really give you as much money, if not at all, unless you're doing certain things.
Mm-hmm.
So for that one, I had to come out of pocket. And now, okay, now I know you got college debt from grad school. And I'm like, how exactly does that work? Is it the same rates and blah, blah, blah? And then they start going into all that. So in my head, I know, okay, this is how much they owe. And I know they owe this because I know they got a car that costs this much. I know they, instead of working in their psychology job, they end up working as a teacher. and they trying to work on getting certification. So I know how much this person makes as a teacher, and I know how much they owe. So on, so that's the one of the ways I kind of get that information just out of school debt, how much people owe.
Mm-hmm. I'll
But it's more.
give you another one to think about too. I got a friend of mine. He's an enrolled agent, and he was doing insurance as well too. A lot of those teachers, even though they sign up to be teachers, their pension, their investment into they put money into their 401k, but it doesn't get vested until after 10 years. So they just put money into something and it's not growing. And so that's just another thing to think about. And this is what was told to me. I have not verified this, but this is what an insurance agent actually told me. An enrolled agent, and he's an insurance agent, told me that a lot of the teachers that teach are putting money into a 401k, but it ain't doing nothing. It's just money going into an account. And so it takes 10 years for that to get vested. So what a lot of the insurance agents are doing, they're coming by on the back end and getting them to put their money into an IUL, so that way it's actually growing while they're working, because they're looking for that money to retire with, but it's been 10 years. It takes 10 years for that to start working and moving. Now that could be false information, but that's what's what I've been told.
Mm,
So they may not even have a 401k that's actually working. Is my point. That's
mm,
not
I
that's
hear
that's
that.
I just want to put that out there.
I hear that, and I'm still learning about that part of the thing. I'm kind of like trying to choose to be more of a of active investor or whatever,
Hmm.
uh, because I was able to do a lot in a short amount of time. I still want to go the 401k route, you know what I'm
You
saying?
could do
But
both, right? So you can have a 401k, and you can still actively invest in the stock market, right? And this is what I talked about on my meetup. For y'all didn't come to my meetup, I kind of broke this down too. Finding companies that are actually putting away the 10% and 25% into your 401k, not the 4% and the 6% match. I'm literally talking about, you make $100,000 and they putting in 10% into your 401k, they're automatically putting $10,000 into your 401k, regardless of what you do. If you're making 100,000 and they're putting in 25%, they're gonna automatically put 25,000 into your 401k. And every time your income increases, they're gonna put 25% into your 401k. And then you
mm,
come back on the back end and you put in your 22.5 or whatever it's going to become the following subsequent years. And so again, when you're talking about this, in your first year, you at 25%, you could be at 45, $50,000 in 1 year in your 401k. I'm not even talking about the money playing in the stock market. I'm just talking straight contributions.
and you didn't even have to. You only had to contribute half of that.
You only contribute your 22.5 because you maxed out your 22.5. Now,
Okay.
that maxing out is different. Here's where marriage comes in at when you're married. Because when you're married, it's not 22.5. It's more than that because you're married and you get a chance to put in even more. So it could be that you're married, instead of it being 50,000 in that 1 year, it could be 80,000 in that 1 year. It really depends on what that salary is. But now you start to see where the marriage portion helps you in your 401k. But not only that, you start to see where choosing these different companies that are 25%, 15%. I think University of Boulder, when I was looking at some of those jobs, they were 200% match. So if I put in 100, they putting in 200% of my 100. So when you start looking at companies like that, and you start evaluating the people that you're dating as to, like, okay, they had a plan, they got an idea, they're gonna get to a million. You could get to a million in 5 to 10 years, depending on the company you with. You think about some of these jobs, they're paying 300,000. You get 25% of your 401k into that. Your 401k, you could be a 401k millionaire in no time. but you still need tax shelters. So those tax shelters on that 300,000, you may go drop that into a brokerage account. You may go drop some into a trust. You may go drop some into real estate. So now you got your money actively working in different phases. And so when you, by the time you sit down and meet somebody to have a conversation, you want to be clear. This is what I have going on. What do you have going on? And if you want to make the shift, because sometimes people don't know, I get that, and they want to make a shift. So let me help you make a shift, or let me show you how you can make a shift. Some people want to hear it, and some people don't. It's just what it is.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, some
I'm
people
with you
want to
right
hear
on
it.
that.
Yeah, I could tell. I could line up. I can line up 10 different people and say, hey, this job is putting 25% into your 401k. If you go overseas, you can make 350 or 400,000. If you go work in Dubai for the next 5 years, you can make 350,000 a year for the next 5 years. Somebody will come back and be like, that's a farce. That's a myth. You can't do that. What about X, Y, and Z? Blah, 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 blah. I'm just like, well, what about the 350? Because if you don't do it, somebody else would do it. And it
Shoot,
usually that somebody else is not a person of color. Let's just be clear.
yeah, and I gotta scale up because I got sent over there for much less. Working right next to the people who's making like 200, 220,
20,
3.
yeah. Yeah. And then the first $125,000 is tax free, right? So another thing is, a lot of people overlook this. A lot of people get sent to Puerto Rico on these trips to go work in Puerto Rico for a year. The thing about Puerto Rico is Puerto Rico doesn't have any federal income tax. They don't have any, they don't pay federal tax. So some people get placed in work and work over in Puerto Rico for a company like a PayPal or a um what's the one, Western Union or something like that. And they may be doing DevOps, they may be doing security. But guess what? They're sitting over in Puerto Rico and they may be getting paid 200,000, but at the same time they don't have any federal taxes on them. So now they got to have that money do something. So they sit over there and they have that money do stuff. Like, we got to think outside the box when it comes to making this money and have this money flowing in our communities and in our families, and how that works. I was just talking to a guy yesterday, and he was saying how he had his daughter sign up because she likes the Chinese culture. So he had his daughter sign up to be a naval reservist. She is taking Chinese in college. She's going to sign up to be a reservist. They're going to train her up to be a linguist. She's going to get stationed in Hawaii. They're going to pay for her to go to Hawaii. And he was like, in her first year, she's going to earn, just by signing up for the reservists and getting her security clearance on top of that, she'll be at 150,000 for her first year. And then her subsequent years, it'll increase. But she's already on the path, and she hadn't even graduated from high school yet. She's already down that path. And then say when she graduates from high school next year, she'll be at her 150. They're gonna put her over in Hawaii. She's gonna learn more Chinese, learn about being a linguist, get her degree. They'll pay for her college, and then she's gonna ride that out for the next 20 years. And there's a lot of people that do that. That's just one way, right? That's just one way. But we don't talk about the opportunities of how people can maneuver and how people can move, because she doesn't have to stay a reservist for 20 years. She can do the reservist time, get her security clearance, come out, come back and go work for a company as a bilinguist on anything. She can go work for Delta. She can go do whatever she wants to. She can go work for NATO. She can go be a translator. She can go do anything she wants to. But she has now the experience before she even graduates from college, before she even graduates from high school. She has the experience. And guess what? She will also have be signed up for her security clearance. And now she's on her way. She's 150,000 on her way before she even steps foot in college. And as we
Yeah,
just gotta, we just gotta understand what the nuances are, right? Did you know there was a linguist school that you could send your children to, where they can go learn multiple languages, and the linguist schools has a partnership with different countries, and they pay for them to go to different countries, and they also pay for them to learn why they go to these different countries. Then don't found it out yesterday. More news for that.
Okay,
So that
I'm
all,
with it.
all, all, all I'm saying is we got to get in the rooms, and we got to sit. I know. We some of us want to build our own table. That's fine. We can do both. We can build our own table and be in the rooms. Once you learn that one room, come back and bring it to your table.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm.
Yep. Yep. The
I
linguist
don't know.
school and learning tech and cyber and big data, huge, huge. Natural language processing, huge. Linguists, huge. They get paid. Google, who pays those people? Google, IBM, all of the big international companies pay those people, and they pay them handsomely well. If you want to know, if you over in Japan, and how to set up text to speech and so forth and so on, those linguists help with those things, preserving languages and so forth. That's super huge. But you was gonna say,
Oh no, I wasn't gonna say nothing else. I was just gonna say because I got questions. I mean, I could come up with questions for days. I got real questions and stuff like that. But I'm gonna go ahead and drop down because I'm trying to have you up here for 5 hours today. Thank you for having me.
you all good. You all good. I appreciate you coming up, and thank you for your tech tides. I hope you. What you cooking today?
So I got these steaks from a farmer's market. They like I got some ribeyes. They real big. It's like 3 inches thick, and they're like
They gonna be
8 inches.
in there for a minute.
Yeah, but I don't. I put them in there like 5 to 8 minutes on each side, maybe on the
And that's how
fire.
you eat them.
Yes, it'd be good.
Oh no, they still
So it,
running.
so if so if I
Ew.
so I normally don't do that, but if I do it at home, it's a completely different taste. If it's the thick steaks and I do it at home, completely different taste. If I go to a restaurant, medium well. You know what I'm saying? But
I
it's
get it.
so good. It's
You
different,
like
and it's
you like Smeagol likes it squirming and wiggly. Ew,
no
no, no Smeagol.
you're not gonna do me, but that's how I like it. So that some ribs where I'm gonna let them just stay in there for maybe like 3 or 4 hours.
Mm,
Put some corn on there, throw some asparagus, and then I'll kind of want to experiment with this seafood mac. See how everybody like it.
okay. Good luck. Have a good day. It look a little. Is it sunny or is it gray? Look gray.
It
I
is
mean,
hot. It's sunny. I'm just
okay.
under this
Okay.
right
I
here.
was looking in the back and it didn't look like it. No.
Nah, it's hot.
No. I do know what I'm missing when it's medium rare. Dion, I do know what I'm missing. I'm missing this wiggly and still alive and still
Detailing,
mooing.
detailing, and it's different when you make it. When you make it,
Have
I
fun.
wouldn't trust nobody else. But I come back another time. Some other men need to come up here and defend
Call him
us.
out. Call him out.
Shoot. Hey, when I see y'all in the chat, I swear I'm calling you out.
Call him out.
Engineer
We-
Cannabis, you one of them. You sitting up there hiding in the chat, ain't speaking on nothing.
uh,
Cam up, come outside.
Rose Devereaux, how you doing? Thank you. Yep.
But
But
nah,
yeah, have fun. Just again, have fun with your wiggly steak and everything else. I appreciate you.
oh, no problem. Thank you.
You're welcome. Again, if you defending or you want to have a dialogue about why men write songs about men, let me know. I'm here to listen. I want to know why men write songs about men and sing them. Like, you put your own image out there. Um, that's what I want to know. You put your own image out there. If that's how you see yourself, then why do you see yourself that way? And why is it that you write your songs that way, if that's how you view yourself? That's really what my question is about. I want to know. um so back to Miss Lady here. Back to her. with the 8 kids. She's staying in a hotel, and like I said before, the question is, well, what can we do to help her? Because eventually we're gonna end up helping her, right? Whether you help her with paying, and you live in the same county she lives in, and you're paying taxes, and her kids are going to school, she cannot get help because she needs a 4 bedroom house. Excuse me. So she is not getting assistance. She works 2 jobs. I think she's a manager at one job and a cook at another. So she is, you know, those kids are raising themselves. Let's be honest. Those kids are raising. What's going on, Maximilian XP? How you doing, Sir Maximilian XP? How are you? um we are at the crux, and I don't want to say in the black community just black people, because as I hear on the internet, there's no black community. It is what it is. You can slice this shit up however you want to. What I do want to say is, when it comes down to uh how affirmative action is going to affect you, how AI is going to affect you, what does the wealth look like, and how is that going to affect you, you need to understand what's happening around you. If you don't believe that people are going to come over here and get jobs, you're sadly mistaken. It's already happening. If you don't believe that you will be a permanent underclass, and I truly believe that black people will be a permanent underclass. I do believe that. I do believe there are certain sectors of black people and certain sectors of white people that will be permanent underclass. I do believe that. And I also believe there are certain people that are just going to break out and be like, nah, we ain't doing that. And some people are going to go overseas and some people are going to stay. So I want to bring this up because, and this is about retirement. And you can retire at any age. And I don't know why people think retirement is 55 or 75 or whatever. You could retire at 40, right? But you need to understand how money flows or how money works. So there was this video right here. It's the five, it is the step 5 of retirement. And let me go to his Oak Harvest. And I'm just gonna call out the titles on these videos, and we'll review them at another time. But I want to bring this up because it goes in line to a conversation that we had last night. And the conversation last night was, one of the young ladies was had spent her money on buying assets, and she was not married. She it was her and her fiance, and we could just go ahead and say boyfriend or whatever the case may be. Um, she has spent her money on buying 3 different rental properties, right? 23 different rental properties. She wanted He has helped her renovate those properties, but he has not financially contributed. He has laborly contributed to that situation. And what she wanted to know in the prenup, how do I protect my assets? Now, I could read this from last night. Let me go back to Market Watch. Because I don't want to be redundant. I just want to give you what she stated, her options that she was presenting to him about this. And you all can go from there. We'll go into this personal finance step, these different steps here, because these steps are very important. Um and I wanted to talk about it. Let me find the actual thingy. Let me go here, and then let me scroll down because it's I think it's at the bottom of one of these articles. No, that's the one, the 200,000 man, and that's the one we dated for 5 years, and the husband lied about being solvent, and he is not. It may be at bottom of one of these. Let me look so I can pull up the article. I didn't save it from last night. I might have. Let me pull up my other. Oh, here it is, right here. Boom! I knew it would come up. Here we go, right here. All right, this is the article from last night. All right. All right, so the article from last night states, I would not have been able to do it without him. I built a property portfolio of 23 units while we were dating. How much should I give to my fiance in our prenup? So she used her own money to buy these 23 units. He has helped rehab these units. But let's go down here with what she said the options were, and then we're gonna go right into this personal. We're gonna go into asset protection. All right. So in here, they talk about. She says, they recently bought their dream home, bought their dream house. So their house he owned previously will be added to our rental portfolio as well. And we know we should probably have a prenup, but we don't know how to structure it. In one hypothetical prenup, he would keep the new house and my second largest investment property of 1.5 million. He would need the investment property to be able to afford the new mortgage on his home. The second one is in another scenario, I would get the house he bought, which is a lesser, which is of lesser value, keep my largest investment and my smallest investment property of 2.35 million. Now remember, she has 23 units. The alternative option is that all properties will be jointly owned. She's given away to him. This is what I mean about love. She's given him because he's also worked in the properties, but because she loves him, she wants to give away half of the portfolio. Jointly owned, and we would do a percentage profit split in perpetuity. Nothing could ever be sold for cash unless both parties agreed upon the sale and we determine how the profits are split. I will have the right to manage the investment portfolio and to 1031 exchange any of the investments in a larger investment property if I choose to. In this scenario, I get 2/3 of the business and he gets a third of the business. What are your thoughts? All right. So, what are my thoughts? Let me pull up this here because this is something that I was looking into. All right. So let's go with step one. Step one is retirement success and investment portfolio analysis. Is the first thing I would recommend to her that she needs to go do. She needs to go look at, she needs to create a plan. She needs to have a portfolio and investment analysis set up. This is not, this is way past the prenup. This is way past the prenup. This is way past the prenup. She also needs to do between him and her, they also, before they get married, need to strategize about income. He's buying a new house, you're moving into it. Are you gonna be on the deed or he gonna be on the deed by himself? Because if he's on the deed by himself, she has no rights and no claims in that house. And she has 23 units. And so she's moving to his house. She's giving up some of that wealth that she has in order to be with him and actually putting him into that those places, and he may not put her on that house. But these are conversations. I'm hypothetically speaking here. These are conversations that need to be had. So we need to strategize around income planning. Where does he work at? Where does she work at? Are you going to build more? Are you going to have more houses? Should these houses be in a trust already? What does that look like? Does she have some type of holding company set up? How is she filing taxes now for these properties? What does that look like? Are they in the individual LLC? Are they in one LLC? Because it sounds like she got them in a 1031 exchange. She may have them in a trust, right? Sounds like it. I don't know, right? So that's step two. Step three, that's we talking about tax planning. We're talking about tax planning, right? And I'm not sure how tax planning works in a 1031 with someone who's already established in the trust. Does she add him to the trust? Can she add him to the trust? I don't know, right? I don't know on the 1031 side. Can she just add him to the trust? And what does that look like with adding him? And what does that look like with him for tax purposes as well too? I don't know, right? Now step four, let me see if I can find step one. Step four was healthcare planning. I would go beyond the whole healthcare planning, because it's not just healthcare within your company, because a lot of people just have their insurance from their company. But what about when you lose your job? Do you have insurance outside of that company? Right? Here's the other thing. Do you have, and this is something that was brought up to me, how do you all make your money? Do you make your money via your hands? Do you make your money via your voice? And I talked about this because Tina Turner had $1 million on her legs, because that's how she made her money. But do you have disability set up outside of your job? If you know you work with your hands, and your hands are something that you need, right? Do you have disability insurance outside of your company? Outside of the company that you work for. Not inside, but outside, right? And last but not least, um her estate plan. I think that couple should go through all 5 steps of that to come up with a solid plan for marriage going forward, and also a solid plan for the prenup. And also, she needs to make sure she has her trust set up properly, right? Because anybody can throw out a prenup. We saw that with Tia and her husband. The prenup was thrown out. The prenup was thrown out. So again, when we're looking at this, you need to think about this logically, not emotionally. I'm glad she reached out, but like the guy said in that article, you don't have to give up all your wealth. You don't have to give up anything. You could literally say, well, how much time and labor has he put in? Pay him out in a chunk of that labor, and if it's an equivalent to a home, give him a home, and then put the rest away. And then whatever you two do in that marriage and build going forward, then that's fine. But she doesn't have to do that. I hope that made sense. Did that make sense, D? Did that put a one in the chat if that made sense? Because I thought about this last night. Like, what should she be doing? And this could help save some of you out there, especially though they're doing real estate investment, and you meet someone and you're looking at, like, okay, how do I structure this prenup? No, no estate, no date. Go focus on building your estate. And with that being said, again, just because you have a will does not mean you don't go to probate court. A will would take you to probate court, but you need to establish these things prior to this. You need to establish your trust. You need to establish your plan. You need to get disability. You need to get insurance. You need to get your insurance in terms of not just insurance in your company, but your death insurance, right? You need to get that too, right? So y'all need to have that set up. I don't know. Do you only got one for you? I guess I'm not making sense today. I guess I'm not making sense. If I say my status hood, would that make if my status hood would that make sense? I don't know. Tell me, right? So this video that he has on estate planning is 26 minutes long. I don't want to I guess I could review that, but I got other stuff I want to talk about. We got let me go back up here and take this out of this mode. But for somebody like her, yeah, the 8 kids, she's thanks D for the ones. She needs a lot more help, right? She needs a lot more help. Yeah, a will take you to probate court. Let me actually go back to this so you can, and let me the will is instructions for the judge in probate. You still go to probate. All right. So let me go back to here. Are your assets protected? Another thing that he kind of chimed in on this one was
Also can be part of your estate.
another thing he talked about was even though you may have good intentions on having your stuff set up, you may cause a tax burden on your beneficiaries because you didn't have the wording correctly inside of your, not necessarily in your will, but inside of your trust. You may not have had your wording set up properly, and so they, instead of the wording taking care of the actual debt that they're supposed to be taking care of, they end up consuming that debt um, when they're getting paid out. So let me do this. Let me make sure it's up. And then we're gonna kind of D said I should speed this up too. Let me see. How can I speed this up? Let's do let's do 1.5. And let's see how quickly that helps us out. All right. And let me make sure. Okay, that's up. Here we go.
Working together according to your stated objectives. So it's very important to understand that estate planning really is part of the overall financial planning process. Yes, you need attorneys to draft trust or wills. You need CPAs to file taxes. But estate planning at its very core is a plan that optimizes the disposition of your assets to your children, to your grandchildren, to your charities, to your church. And
Is that too fast? That's too fast? Okay. Bring it down. I'll go back to 1.25.
plan for that. Everyone needs an estate plan, no matter how much money you have. Of course, the more money you have, the more complex an estate plan could possibly be, but the more things you also have to plan for. So there are two types of designations in the industry that you should be aware of. The first one is the Certified Financial Planner Professional, which I think most of you are.
Right. There's a certified financial planner professional he talks about here. And then there's the other one is called CFPWA, and I think that's for wealth management. So I think it may be some CFPWM. We'll see in a minute. Here.
With the CFP. So the CFP, it's a 10-month course, and part of that does cover estate planning. But what the CFP does is they don't go tremendously deep in all of these different areas. The second one, which is for more higher net worth people, typically estates of $5 million and above, is the CPWA, the Certified Private Wealth Advisor designation. So that's the designation that goes very deep into estate planning. So if you have a net worth above $5 million, you probably want to seek out a CPWA professional.
So net worth above 5 million, CPWA, right? Again, and he talks about the difference between the two as far as the CFP. Like, again, no amount of money is too big or too little for you to do estate planning, right? Especially those that are hitting that mark of the 200,000, the 300,000, the 400,000. I'm going to encourage you to start talking to a certified financial planner. I'm going to encourage you to start having the conversations about what that looks like, why you should talk to them, ask the questions. Don't spend your wills and so forth and get 20, 30 years down the line. And now you're at this juncture where you're like, you know how to save, but you're not really sure if you're saving right, this, that, and other. Start early, get good financial hygiene now. And those that are in their 40s, get good financial hygiene now. So that way, when you hit your 60s or your 70s or even your 50s, you're well on your way. Look, if you're in your 40s, you got a good 20, 25 years, give or take, right, to really get good financial hygiene. If you're in your 20s, you got a long time. But just imagine if you could be a millionaire by the time you're 35. And then now all you're doing is like, I got my nest egg for my million. I'm going to let that ride. I'm going to do whatever. And now I'm going to now focus on whatever it is I want to do. Like if I want to go create a business, if I want to go do whatever else, if I just want to ride my skills out for the next 5 years, I ride my skills out for the next 5 years. Shout out to Kelsey Hightower. He's 42 and he's retired. Shout out to Kelsey Hightower, 42 and retired. He maximized his income, he maximized his skill set, and he's now retired at 42. Right? You could do that too. Right? You could do that too. Right? You just have to know how to do it. And don't be afraid. Don't think that it's just going to come by osmosis. It's going to come with some trial and error. It's going to come with some asking questions. It's going to come with possibly you spending some time with someone, but just go ahead and do that though. All right, let's go back to it.
Under 5 million, a CFP Pro should be able to get that done for you. So as I stated at the beginning of the video, an estate plan is one part of an overall financial plan. So there are different areas that we're going to go through today, and we're going to talk a little bit about documents, the ones that you need to have, titling of assets, trusts, the difference between something being in your estate and out of your estate, gifting, charitable strategies, and also the importance of consolidating assets. So the goal is to have all of these different pieces moving together to bring your goals to fruition. Now, not all of you are going to need to have every single one of these pieces as part of your overall estate plan, but it is important that you understand the different aspects of an estate plan. Okay, very basic. This is what most of you think about when you think of an estate plan. You think of your will, possibly a living will, power of attorney. So you have a durable power of attorney, which is for your financial affairs, and you have a medical power of attorney. So the living will, this is your end of life care instructions. The medical power of attorney, it's a more broad, more comprehensive document. Those two pieces work together to really bring that medical piece together in your estate plan. And then a revocable living trust is typically part of an estate plan as well. Most attorneys are going to charge somewhere from about $2,000 to $5,000 to put these documents in place. Now, I don't want you to be cheap and try to do this yourself because it does require specialized skill. You want to see a board certified estate planning attorney, but we had a client a long time ago that tried to skirt out on costs and do his own trust. Well, he named a beneficiary of that trust his retirement account. But when you name retirement accounts as a trust beneficiary, you have to have very, very specific language inside there, and he did not. So when his daughters went to have the IRA pay out into the trust, they thought it would maintain its tax-deferred status. That was his intention. Because the language was not correct, the financial institution would not honor it. They distributed the full retirement account, creating hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. So when you pass away, your assets go through probate. So this is where
So he didn't even want to ask the questions. Set him up for failure. So here's where, Charlene, this is what I was talking about. When you pass away, your assets go through probate. And here's where he talks about with the will.
living trust comes in, because anything that you have in your will go through that probate process. It goes through the courts. The judge uses your will as essentially a set of instructions, but it's public record and it can be time consuming and costly in some states. Every state has their own process. The revocable living trust here is essentially like a will. It creates more privacy and assets bypass probate. Same thing with your retirement accounts. If you have a 401k or an IRA or a life insurance policy or an annuity, anything that has a beneficiary designation, they will bypass probate and go directly to whomever you've named as those beneficiaries. Okay.
So that's why this is why I always be talking about the trust. Because in the will, you still got to go through probate. Again, it's public knowledge. But if you got the living trust, that's not the situation. You bypass that. And again, you don't have to take this from me. You can go to his website and look it up. You can go to the IRS and look it up. Go seek a CPA and look this up. I'm just reporting to you what people may not even tell you about why, a will is okay, but you really should be looking at a trust, right? And this is all of this falls under the umbrella of estate planning. So that's why I say no estate, no date. Like, if you got like the girl with the 23 rentals, she should be talking to that CPA. And it sounds like she's probably her net worth is well above 5 million. If one of the houses is 2.3 and another one is 1.5, she sounds like she's well upon 5 million. And it sounds like she has enough money and enough equity in these homes where she's able to have a process to do these things over and over again. And she's buying them with her own money, right? So, yeah. So let's get back to it.
So on to titling of accounts, because this is a very important and also very simple part of the tax code that we can use to your advantage, but I see it all the time not being used properly, or accounts mistitled because there's no respect given to the estate planning side of things. So we see this most often with our clients that are in different states that are not community property states. First thing I want to go through is what we call basis. So basis is what you have purchased something for, and then there can be some adjustments to basis. But let's say you have an investment account, a non-retirement account, and you bought those stocks for $300,000 10 years ago, and today they're worth $700,000. If you pass away, and let's say you name your spouse the sole beneficiary of that account, it's going to get a step up in basis. So for tax purposes, the new value is $700,000, meaning if your spouse decided to sell all of those stocks, there would be absolutely zero income tax liability. But when you own an account jointly, when you have qualified joint interest property, if you are in a community property state and one spouse passes away, you still get the full step up in basis, generally speaking. So the surviving spouse can sell everything, no tax liability. If you are in a non-community property state, only one half of the account will typically get a step up in basis if the property is owned jointly.
So when he's saying this, what I want you to realize is, what state do you live in? Is it a non-community property state? Is it a community property state? What are your rights? Are things going to change? You need to find that information out. You need to find that information. Do your own due diligence. You don't have to wait for somebody to tell you that. You can go look that up. And you also need to look at the retirement laws of each state in which you live in, because each state is different. Retirement laws are different in each state. So you need to go look at that and find out, like, what state favors for retirement and what state favors for the different retirement laws at different levels. If you're at $1 million or $2 million or $3 million, right? You need to look at that, right? I'm not going to go through this whole video because it's 26 minutes long. It is a whole series. I've watched 2 of the series. This came out, this one right here came out a day ago. I was waiting for the estate planning one to come out, because that's the one I really want to do a deep dive on. I'll do a deeper dive on this probably in one of our private sessions to talk about this, because I want to talk about what estate documents look like and the paperwork that you need to have, right? Let's see. Oh, that's Neo. I thought this was funny. Just curious. He's like, $80 million is not a lot of money for a billionaire to go out and purchase a home. So he is the agent for billionaire house hunters. And he goes out and he finds homes for them. And he's like, they just might get a wild hair and just be like, oh yeah, just let me buy that for 80 million. It's like, it's not a lot, right? I thought it was absolutely funny in reference to what we be hearing on the internet. I thought this was absolutely funny. It's only 6 minutes long, but we'll go into it, and then we're gonna get into the stuff I want to get into.
Perception is reality. The very wealthy can buy spontaneously, whether it's a Picasso, whether it's a helicopter, whether it's a house. It doesn't need to be on their agenda. I want to buy a house on my agenda. It comes to them naturally. My name is Gary Hersham. I am head of Beecham Estates. We've been dealing with very expensive, luxurious, off-market homes worldwide for many years. Don't think I'm being vulgar or facetious, but 75 or 80 million pounds is not a huge amount of money for this house. It just isn't. If you look what you can buy today in prime central London for 15 or 20 million and compare it to 2 or 3 ratchets up, you'll see you get very little for your
2 or 3 ratchets up.
Cost of a house like this of $80 million compared to somebody's net worth of $10 billion, it's neither here nor there. It's not as if they've only got $85 billion and spent $80 million on a house. I believe, with my many years of experience, that a house is sold based on the quality of the kitchen and the quality of the bathrooms. Lighting is also terribly important. Look at this kitchen here. It's absolutely enormous, and that's what people want. So quality relates to 2 things, the quality of the materials and the taste. Here you have both. I'm never quite sure that I've understood what unique selling points are. The house itself is a unique selling point. You can't say, I'm buying this house because I like the bedroom and the bathroom. But if you had to say what the unique selling point is, I suspect you'd say the voluminous swimming pool, how amazing the floor-to-ceiling height is in the swimming pool. But everything's beautiful here, and a buyer will appreciate everything or appreciate nothing.
Pool? I didn't even realize it was a swimming
pool. Come and have a look at this wonderful staircase. How often do you see, in today's world, a 2-story solid stone staircase? Look at the intrinsic and detailed level of design. Quite magnificent, quite magnificent. By the way, as we're passing here, I'm going to close this door, but this door leads to the staff area and the staff lift, and the main entrance to our left.
Are y'all sick yet? Are y'all sick yet? I'm gonna keep scrolling through here. All right, here's the next one right here.
And this is probably the most important
Somebody's
house
home.
in Knightsbridge, not in terms of price nor in terms of size, but in terms of location. You can see the house has been stripped out, ready for the refurbishment works. It was the house of Prince Sultan bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, who would have...
Prince who? Prince who? Oh no. Let me go back. Prince Sultan Sabata.
Works. It was the house of Prince Sultan bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, who would have been king of Saudi Arabia.
Let me put on the closed Saudi Arabia. Let me put on the closed captions here. Right here, House of Prince Sultan. That's what he said.
It was the house of Prince Sultan bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, who would have been king of Saudi Arabia had he not passed away. Well, you can see, come over here, you'll see little relics of the house. Look at the marble. Look at the sienna marble, the paneling of the sienna marble. Imagine everything was done to that quality throughout the house. Whether you like the style or not would have been irrelevant, but the bathrooms, the kitchen, the catering kitchen, the swimming pool were spectacular. If somebody came to me and said, listen, I've got the money, I'll pay you 140 million pounds for the house. So don't waste your time, and I'm not going to put the offer up. If somebody says, look, I'm very interested, I'd like it. To me, it's worth 200 million, 190 million, 205 million. Of course, I'm going to speak to the client. It's got to be within reason. Come around this way, because you're missing half the floor. Now we're in a house in Denham, which has a very famous history. The people who have lived in the house would be the type of people you read about in books. Take, for example, Harry Saltzman, well, everybody knows Cubby Broccoli and Harry Saltzman are the creators of the Bond movies. It had the French royal family living here. So what is the first thing you see? You come in to an entrance foyer. To your right, you have the grand staircase, which is absolutely spectacular. The gold leaf in here alone has cost hundreds of thousands of pounds. Look here at the formal gardens, aren't they beautiful? Gardens go as far as the eye can see. It's currently owned by the Chaitanya family.
You know, when I see this, all I'd be thinking about is The Shining when they got there in their garden.
Who are a very important...
This is how I always I wanted to do my grass like this. I always think this is sexy. How the lines are cut on here. I always thought that was sexy.
Pat family from Africa, who are Indian, and who we've worked with for very many years. Fabulous family. These four houses have had occupiers, will have occupiers, and have been lived in this case, for a hell of a long time. In Rutland Gate, probably for a hell of a long time. Avenue Road is new build. These houses find their buyers. And most of these buyers, by the way, when it comes down to brass tacks, are normal. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, sit down and have a coffee with you. Absolutely normal people, except they have one ingredient that a lot of us don't have. They have the ability to choose a property spontaneously, no matter what it costs.
I thought that was interesting to put some perspective on things, on where people are doing their stuff. Beauchamp Estates. The guy is that you saw, Gary Hirschman, is the founder. Beauchamp Estates. When you're looking, when you're talking about, what does wealth look like, Beauchamp Estates. Luxury properties in London. And you could go here and look at the properties for sale, properties on the French Riviera, so forth. You could look here, see what they got. 12 million, 2.2. This one here, 23 million. This is what we're talking what I'm talking about. Until, and I'm not saying that all black people are going to be able to do this, until we have multiple families that have this type of wealth where we can go and do anything, we got work to do. That's my personal take. I asked this before, and I'll ask it again. Name me any black family from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s that have had money like the Vanderbilts that are black, or that have had money like like Walmart or Disney or what have you. Name me one. Name me a series. Name me 10. No, don't name me one. Name me 10. Right? Name me 10. And we could probably do that in overseas in different countries, possibly. I'm just sticking strictly here to the United States, and I don't think we can do that. So we can't sit up here on the internet and argue about the what ifs, and if we could do, just do. Just do. It's all right. Just do. Right? We're at that phase now where we need to just do. What's going on, Intentional Millionaire? Where we need to be just doing and not talking about it. Um, I want to let me see. I forget which one this one is. I have a couple of videos and a couple of things I wanted to talk about.
How big a moment is this for your company?
This one right here. Oh yeah, the flying taxi. Like he's working on the flying taxi. And what that looks like. Um, Charles Schwab. Um, the car. Oh yeah, this is for my car enthusiasts. Um, this just came out. This was for my car enthusiasts. This will be the Porsche GT3 RS in red and black.
You like Porsche, right? Nice.
I know Dee don't like the tail on it because she would like it be too big, but I think that's what made the car.
Nice, man. He loves Porsche.
All right, he getting ready to take it out. See,
Yeah.
right here.
Sounds good, too.
That's kind of car like I'll pull up on that. Pull up. Speaking of pull up, I was talking to D yesterday. This happened at work yesterday. I was actually sitting in the car when it happened. It was a guy drove by. I think it was a Ford Escape or one of the little four door, little small SUVs, crossovers. I guess you would. I don't think an Escape is a crossover. I think it's just a smaller SUV. Anyway, he drove by. He was looking. He looked in the car, like he pulled up, right? Because I'm facing this way, and he's driving by this way. He stops, and he's like at the car like this, like, and he drives past me, and I counted one, two, three, and then there was a whole bunch of parking spaces down there on the other end. And he goes down to the end of the row, and then he comes back around and he parks next to me. And I was like, man, what's going on? So he parked next to me, and then he got out and he start jiggling the handles on the truck. Like I was like, is he trying to get in? And I know that man saw me because you could see in my truck. I took off the limo tent in the front. I know you could see in the truck. I know he saw me, and he was jiggling, and then he walked around to the other side, and he was jiggling, and I was like, man, what's going on? Now, why did I tell you about this? I'm telling you this because some people are just naturally curious and haters at the same time. They're curious haters at the same time. And when you have cars like this, and I've said this before, men are groupie for cars and women are groupie for cars. And it is something about a car. It's going to spark a conversation. And I was sitting in the car, so I mean, you know, you know, and the car was on. I was sitting in the car, and the car was on. It wasn't like you can't see me. I'm looking at him. Look at me. Like I'm looking at him. Look at me. Like, are you gonna really open the door? Like, you really gonna open the door? Are you really trying to get in this car? So I know there's probably gonna be some backlash when I go to work, um, pretty soon, because in a lot of people's minds, it's like, why? How can you have a car like that? And why do you have a car like that? So yeah, that's just what's gonna happen. I already know. So it is what it is. But that's my story. So I know if I showed up with that, there'll be some problems. I know it would. But I got more. Let me make sure I'm covering everything. I really wanted to talk about that welfare. I talked about oh yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow on the next show. I really want to make sure I got to that conversation, and we could talk about this other stuff on the next show. I want to make sure we get the next show in. I don't want to be stuck on this show. Um, I'm in the car. There's no need to turn on the alarm. I'm in it. I'm in the car. I'm in the car. But um I have seen people, jiggling handles or walking up to that car um a couple of times. Is one of them things. Like, and some people have taken pictures of it. Now I had this happen before at a job. It's not the first time. When I got my GL 450, and when I was in Florida, they sent out an email asking whose car is in the parking lot. Um, and I didn't respond, and then they waited around to see whose car that was in the parking lot. I had that. I've had that happen before. I've had people like really ask, like, how can you afford that? Or that ain't yours. Or my favorite one is that the men like to say all the time, you can't handle all that horsepower. I be like, oh, well, how you think it got here? How you think this car got over to this property? Yeah, okay, whatever. So I'm gonna leave that there for y'all. Get your estates up, and before your prenups, have financial conversations. Always work on being financially healthy. Have good financial hygiene for yourself. Require that of others. And when I say of others, that's including your friends and your family, that people that you hang around, that you interact with. And last but not least, always remember that it's okay for you to be successful, and it's okay for you to travel in lanes of success. Never let someone dull that light, and never let someone tell you that you think you better than anybody. Just be like, that's what you think. And if you want to get a piece of this, come with me. And if they don't, they don't. Right? I'm gonna leave y'all with that. Y'all have a good night. Well, we'll see y'all in 30 minutes. Yeah. We'll see y'all in 30 minutes. Not a good night. All right, bye.